Hey, welcome to my life video. My name is IJ and this is my channel Tell IJ. I welcome you on board today on this wonderful cold January evening in London. And I hope those of you in the United States and all over the world get to hear my opinion about Jane Shaw. Before we go ahead, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel to support me, and of course, share this video with your friends and family so they get to know about my channel. And once more, I'll tell you what my channel is all about. Here we talk about all things, a little bit of reality TV, a little bit of documentary, life stories, travel, and culture. My name is IJ, and this is my channel, Tell IJ. And on today's show, I wanted to come up here and talk a little bit about what the internet's been buzzing about. Those of you who follow the Bravo Real Housewives franchise, today is about Jane Shaw from the Real Housewife of Salt Lake City and her sentencing yesterday. That was the 6th of January 2023. So I'm here just to give you my own personal opinion and lowdown. As someone who has been following a lot of the franchises of the Real Housewife, and of course, I do remember the first season one, two, and currently we're on season three of the Real Housewife of Salt Lake City. So I do tend, like most viewers, to feel like I've watched Jane Shah all over the years, and of course you feel like you know these people, but you don't know these people. But I can only speak on what is shown to us on YouTube or Bravo, and I tend to pick mine up using my special app, which I am able to follow a lot of the TV shows from United States and of course the United Kingdom. So let's get into it. So, as we have, or you may or may not have heard, in case you may be in a country where you are not able to, see what is happening and know what is happening. I'm talking about Jane Shah, who was found yesterday guilty. Yes, she was found guilty on many counts of fraud, basically targeting the elderly. And this has made a lot of waves on the YouTube streets. And of course, I was even surprised to see it on CNBC News from America a few hours ago, but not surprising. Because for those of you who have been following the Real Housewife of Salt Lake City, will know that Jane Shaw, when we first came to know her on the scene, myself included, when first we were introduced to a beautiful big mansion that looked, I mean, did they say it was 14,000 square footage? And we got to know her husband is a coach, athletic coach, which most will fondly refer to him as Coach Shah. And then after a while, there were speculations wondering how does a coach and whatever her Jane's business is get to make so much money that they built this amazing big home. Now, I remember the first season, Jane was throwing a big party. Then we had Mary Cosby in the show, and it was such an extravagant, elegant 1920s or 1930s kind of party. And Jane, from the world on go, was showing us, quite honestly, a lot of her aggressive side, let me be blunt. I like Jane Shah, but as time went on, it turned from something you would think someone is being boisterous or being lively to probably play a role in the reality show to something that became bordering on bullying. And it would almost appear as time went on, like I said, currently we're on season three, episode 10 or 11, which I just watched yesterday. And it's almost like she makes the other ladies, her cast members, especially Heather, Heather Gray, who I honestly, she's getting on my nerves, but that's another video for another time. You could almost feel like the other ladies are afraid of Jen. And Jen has gone on for a number of seasons, screaming at everybody, telling them, I am not guilty until proven guilty. And we saw in season two, I was actually watching it. I thought it was, I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing when they were meant to go on a trip. And that trip turned out that the FBI were there, came to look for Jen. And Jen seemed to have gotten a tip off from someone. So kind of saved herself. I don't blame her from the embarrassment of being arrested by the FBI in the luxury bus that was meant to take them on their trip. Now, going back to yesterday, as I said, on the 6th of January 2023, Jen Shah was found guilty in a New York court by the Federal Court of New York for embezzlement, fraud, and misleading, selling misleading products to a lot of the elderly. And those of you who are not very much aware of the law with United States of America, where this took place, of course, in many countries, when we talk about elderly, you automatically think of people over 70s, 80s, and thereabouts. But in this case, apparently, as I read somewhere, elderly in the United States, or at least in New York, is considered, I believe they said, anybody over the age of 55. To be quite honest, personally, I would have thought older than that because today 55 is the new 35. But that's by the wayside. So she was found guilty and she came out of court, thank you again. Welcome to my channel before I forget. And she came out of court yesterday looking very somber, looking very, you had brown cashmere coat. And we know Jen is a real actress. She likes to show off because, like I said to you guys, we later found out by season two when she started, all these things started coming out about Jen, that the house we thought was hers from season one, very luxurious, massive property, was actually rented for, allegedly, people said it was about $10,000 per month. That didn't make sense to me, especially when the Real Housewife franchise is supposed to show us about all these women who are supposed to be rich. But over time, we have come to hear about more and more of them getting themselves into a mess because apparently they are trying to live beyond their means. We heard about Teresa Judas, who went to jail, and eventually that affected her marriage to Joe Judas. Then we had so many people currently, Mia Thompson, and quite a few of them. So, what is this with these people who know they don't have clean hands, but for some reason you want to show up and be on national and possibly worldwide television, projecting yourself like you're a rich woman when you know you are not a rich woman? Anyway, I digress. So she came out of court yesterday, and apparently we heard from some of the sources that were able to either get information from the court. Looking at what I watched yesterday, which was just 2 days ago, and this filming of the third season isn't that far off from the sentencing. And when you watch the way Jen was so aggressive towards Heather, Angie K, some of the friends of the show, you sometimes I used to look at this woman and think, gosh, you've got bigger guts than I have. I mean, whether you were guilty or not guilty, if God forbid I had such a huge potential court case looming over me, I wouldn't be treating my cast members the way Jen was so disrespectful. At some point, she even threw Angie K's $1,600 designer shoes into the ocean when they were on a yacht. Whitney tried to talk to her, or was it Lisa? And she basically attacked everyone and anyone on that yacht. So come to hear that in court that she suddenly broke down, looking like this, nice demeanor, Jen, asking, apologizing to the victims, asking the judge. Apparently, her lawyers were trying to ask the judge for 3 years, and a lot of speculations were going on that Jem was going to get anything between 14 and 30 years. So, her getting 6.5 years sentence, and that is not even in a high security jail. This is more like a white collar, sort of more relaxed jail, more or less living your life, except that you're living it or going to be living it in the confinements of the prison grounds. So when we heard she was crying and looking, even looking at her here, looking very somber, you wouldn't believe the nastiness that comes out of jail. Sometimes I wonder, is this woman either you're alcoholic or you have some mental issues? What is exactly going on? I don't know. And so, she emerged out of court, and there was Sherif, her husband, Coach Shah, in front, who was always right there by her side, quite rightly. And this is a shot I saw last season where they were talking about how, a lot of the pressures nearly broke their marriages because earlier in early part of season two, I think that was when things began to unravel. And there was a scene where Jen was crying and telling Coach Shaw, "You were never here for me. Oh, I wanted to take over those. Da 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 da." I mean, to be honest with Jen, I like her, but the more I've seen the way she can twist and basically blatantly lie, you could hold Jen holding something. She could make you, the victim, feel like you're the one going crazy, not her. And she would deny it blatantly, and even with her kind of attitude, very aggressive, which most of the other women, you can tell it's not their cup of tea. Anyway, she was sentenced yesterday and will be starting her sentence on the 17th of February. Apparently, she has to serve the first three, oh no, 6 years or 3 years, no, 6 years. Then may get off after 3 years or 3.5, and then there will be further 5 years house arrest after she leaves prison. And this was a letter that came from a lady, last minute before the sentences, a lady who claimed, just to give you an idea of Jen's character, because some of us were wondering, was she just acting in the Real Housewife of Salt Lake City, or was this the real Jen we were seeing? And this came in last minute, where the prosecutors presented to the judge from a lady who claimed that Jen had a triest meaning like almost like an affair, but not so deeply, but clearly some emotional thing going on with her husband. And apparently it happened sometime in 2019. And when the lady got to know about it, she apparently called Jen naturally to tell her to back off. So Jen, apparently, in her craziness, only Jen could do this. This shows you that her behavior in the Real Housewife was not totally all acted. And this was what the prosecutors were trying to get the judge in order to give Jen a harder sentence. And apparently, Story had it on the report here. And what you're looking at was a protective order granted to the lady against Jen Shah, because Jem was reportedly angrily got in her car and drove across state borders. Can you imagine that? Drove across state borders to go and confront this woman. Now you were apparently, allegedly, being accused by a wife, leave my husband alone, and Jen's best judgment was to get into the car and drive across state borders to go to this lady's house, banging at her door at 2:30 a.m. Now, anyone would be frightened by this because nobody would expect a normal human being to come charging at me, coming to my door to come to harass me. So I'm glad for the lady's sake that the um, protection order was granted. And so this was the house Jen was showing us in season one and part of season two, until we came to know that she was simply renting this and it didn't belong to her. Now, in all of this, it is sad, I'll be honest to say, all throughout the social media, many people, I didn't see a lot of sympathy for Jane Shah. And one cannot understand, because any of those elderly people could have been anybody's mother, father, uncle, auntie. And what, how low can you get for the sake of making money, that you would actually defraud elderly people and promise people to buy products that you know was not going to provide them with what you promised? And that means looking for extra income. Now, the reason I'm sharing this house that Jane projected, basically lying, and I remember season one and two. I remember a scene where she went or took Heather into this private boutique, booked it, only opened for them, and bought Heather, if I'm not mistaken, allegedly about $25,000 or something. Bought Heather. I'm thinking, this lady, I mean, even if you're rich, everyone, if you got your wealth in a genuine way. I am a generous person naturally, but I'm not sure if I'll be that generous with my hard-earned money. I should be saving for my old age and my children, and splashing it on a friend, so called. Anyway, it didn't get her that far. So this was the house, and later on, as we know currently, this is the current house where they had to downsize, still renting, and started renting a more normal, small looking 3 bedroom. And the question is, why do people like James Shaw feel they have to live beyond their means? And some people say, why is Bravo constantly? James Shaw is not the first or second or third housewife who's been dragged into the fact that she is living beyond her means. And a few of them have been to jail or been accused of owing money. I mean, are these women currently? We know Mia from Real Housewife of Potomac doesn't seem to have money, but still posing. First, we met Mia in Penthouse. Now, currently, we heard in the last 3 hours, oh, because of she made all these lousy, bogus excuses, they've now had to move to another home. I suspect smaller home. But she was trying to tell us on the program that they were renting a house in Potomac for $10,000, and we're going to spend another $65,000 doing it up, which sounded, I mean, Mia is a liar anyway. I'm not even going to say alleged. Mia is a liar, you know? And it's very sad. It really is. It really is. So that is the problem with this woman, and you have to wonder, who are these and why are they doing this? you know because lots of people in this life we live today seem to be sucked into this material. I am quite honestly, personally, I love good things. I travel a lot. I enjoy fine restaurants. I enjoy good things out of the hard work of myself and my husband. And now I'm showing you Meredith. Meredith was a cast member last season, early of season two. Jen Shaw threw a birthday party, according to Jen Shaw. Jen Shaw, spent $80,000. Now, Meredith wasn't, to my knowledge, her best friend. Even if she was her best friend, what are you doing spending $80,000 on any birthday? If you have that kind of money, why would you not be investing it or something? But clearly, probably James Shaw was looking for a way of spending all the fraudulent money she accumulated, because nothing made sense. And we know that shortly after that party she threw for Meredith, both her and Meredith could not even see eye to eye. We can see here, this was a night of one of Jen Shah's party where she was clearly shouting out. Whitney, Lisa was there, um, Meredith was there. She was always the wild one. And that Andy Cohen asked her in the last reunion, when all this started to bubble over, what do you actually do, Jen? And Jen babbled on, could not really give Andy Cohen a clear, concise answer. Oh, they deal with data, lead generation, da 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 da. Anyway, now we know what lead generation is all about. That's Jen Shah, always looking glam. And the funny thing was that when the feds went to seize some of the properties in Jen's home in order to sell them and hopefully pay retribution to the victims, they found that more than half of what Jen been posing for us in her walk-in closet were all fake designer things. Anyway, and that was a scene here where Jem was crying, trying to push the blame to her husband, Coach. Coach travels a lot because of his job, saying, "No, you're never here for me." Trying to really allude it that if the husband was there, probably she's right. Maybe she wouldn't have gotten herself into what she did. I don't know. And so we see Jen. She always liked to, even her tagline in Bravo say, and the only thing you can accuse me of is being amazing. Now, can you imagine what the victims must be feeling? Seeing Jen. Jen was not even behaving like someone going through a court case that, according to her, was costing her millions. It's very sad. And of course, she'll come on camera like this and cry, I am not guilty, I am not guilty until proven innocent, da 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 da. Anyway, so what we have here is Jane Shah, and the truth of the matter is, just not to digress here, truth of the matter is, there's a lesson to learn. If you're listening to this and you're one of those people, because a lot of people, especially younger generation, millennials, you guys, a lot of people, I'm not saying just millennials, even people my age, I'm in my early 50s, and I see women, men as well, and people seem to be more concerned, not being content. And if you are content enough, making enough money to feed yourself and your family, live in your own home, if you like traveling like I do, travel and do what you have to do. Stop trying to, feel like you have to go above and beyond to prove something to anyone. Okay? There's a lesson to be learned, because this is not the first or second or third housewife, and this seems to be a growing trend in various societies around the world. Learn to be satisfied with who you are and what you have. Trying to live above your means is never going to do you any good ultimately, except bring you down one way or another. If I knew Jen Shah, I would have liked to ask her. God knows I'm not gloating at her. I feel genuinely as a mother sad. I feel sadder for her family, her husband, especially their two sons. As I understand, the eldest son is about to start medical school. He's already got a first degree, which is something any mother or father will be proud of. It shows you how intelligent their children are, because she and coach was a lawyer before he turned coach, are very intelligent people. And then they've got the younger son who is 13 or 14, Omar. There's Sheriff Junior and Omar. Now, a young boy, or any of the children for that matter, not having your mom at home for 6.5 years. I mean, I as a mother, I can't even, never mind a wife, it breaks my heart. It really does. And all I can do is pray for Jen and hope that anyone out there who comes across this video, even if you're just watching it on replay, there's a lesson I want you to pick up. If you've been used to worrying about what your friends or neighbors or relatives or anybody will do, or how they see you, you need to ask yourself, the value you put on yourself, because often the people you're bothering about what they will say you're trying to impress, half the time are not even seeing it that way. And if you have those kind of relatives or friends who are so materialistic, then my question to you is, where do you stop? Because those kind of people don't truly love you. Anyone who loves you should not have to value you by the car you have or the house you have or what you project. And those kind of people as well, you can never fully satisfy them. Okay, you buy the Lamborghini, what next? You buy the this, what next? And so there is a lesson, and I would have asked Jen, was it all worth it? Was it worth it now you're caught? Because I know there are many men and women who are still living this kind of fake life, and not all of them will be caught. But what if you're caught? And I often say to my children and myself, I don't ever want the kind of money I would be enjoying and be looking behind me. No, that's not being rich. That's not being wealthy. And in fact, I'd rather be humble and wealthy than to be pretentious and showing off things you know truly that you cannot afford. Anyway, Jen Shah will be going to jail for 6.5 years, according to New York court. So my prayers and my love goes to her and her family. And all I want to say on this note is I thank you all once again for stopping by. My name is IJ, and this is my channel, Tell IJ. And if you have a story you love to share, please get in touch with me. I'd love to get you on live here. It's still a new channel, and I sincerely appeal to you to subscribe, to support my channel. And I want to really thank you once again for watching. And please hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with your friends and family so they get to know about this channel. And on this note, once again, I want to wish you a fantastic Happy New Year in 2023. And if you believe in prayers, please pray for Jen Shah and Coach Shah and their family. It's rather unfortunate, and I will hope Jen is only, did they say she's 49? Let's hope she will have enough time in her lifetime to recover and learn to humble herself. And if she has any alcoholic issues, as some people speculated, or mental issues, that she gets some help. And on this note, ladies and gentlemen, my name is IJ, and I am so thankful for you stopping by. And please don't forget to subscribe and check back my next video. So when I drop any video, you'll be amongst the first to know. Thank you and have a wonderful evening from London to you all, United States, United Kingdom, and around the world. Thank you.